Imagine a beautifully detailed early morning scene in an ancient Indian kingdom, inspired by South Asian architecture and rural simplicity, filled with a serene and majestic mood. The setting is a large open courtyard of a grand royal palace surrounded by intricately carved sandstone arches, red stone columns, and finely painted domes. The golden light of sunrise gently bathes everything in a warm, magical glow, casting soft shadows across the marble courtyard floor, which is decorated with traditional Rangoli patterns in colorful natural dyes. In the center of this grand courtyard stands an old yet wise and calm king, with long flowing white hair and a thick beard tinged with silver. His deeply lined face radiates kindness, patience, and quiet authority. He wears elegant royal robes of deep maroon and gold, embroidered with ancient symbols of wisdom and prosperity. A golden turban rests on his head, adorned with a peacock feather and a central ruby gemstone. He holds a small clay pot in his hands, carefully cradling it like something sacred. His presence is calm, yet commanding, a symbol of leadership and truth. Surrounding the king, a large group of children from the village stands with curiosity and excitement in their eyes. These children are from all walks of life. Some wear neat clothes made from fine cotton, while others wear simple garments stitched from old saris and shawls. Their faces are expressive and unique, animated with wonder, nervousness, and joy. Each child holds an empty clay pot in their small hands, waiting to receive the seed that will determine the future of the kingdom. Behind the children, villagers and families gather under large banyan trees and beside wooden stalls covered with fabric shades. The adults watch silently with respect, some folding hands in prayer, some smiling at their little ones. A few older villagers sit on woven charpet, their faces weathered but gentle, enjoying the rare royal occasion. Royal guards in red and gold armor line the courtyard edges, standing tall with ceremonial spears and curved swords, silently watching with disciplined grace. The palace architecture is a visual masterpiece: domed rooftops, jericas, overhanging windows, delicate jolly screens filtering morning light, and hanging flower garlands swaying gently in the breeze. Bright marigolds, jasmine vines, and banana leaves are strung together across the columns, adding color and festivity to the occasion. The sky above is soft pastel. Gentle pinks, oranges, and faint blues blend with streaks of white clouds. Birds flutter overhead, doves, mynas, and sparrows, bringing sound and motion to the tranquil morning. The air carries the faint aroma of sandalwood incense, rose petals, and the sweet scent of mango trees blooming nearby. In this magical moment, the king raises his hand and speaks with a deep, soothing voice that echoes with wisdom across the courtyard. A hush falls over the crowd. The king announces his intention to choose his successor, not from his royal lineage, not from ministers or generals, but from the children of the people. He explains that he will give each child a single seed. They must care for it and return in 30 days with what it grows into. He pauses for effect, his eyes scanning the crowd, then begins to hand out the seeds one by one. Each seed is small, round, and brown, carefully selected and placed into each child's clay pot. The children look at their seeds as though they're holding a future treasure. Among them is a poor yet kind-hearted boy named Arjun. His eyes are wide with wonder, and he holds his pot tightly, aware that something important is happening, not just for the kingdom, but for him personally. The scene is layered with emotion, the sense of history unfolding, the innocence of children, the quiet pride of the villagers, and the powerful symbolism of planting a seed to test one's honesty and care. The lighting shifts subtly as the sun climbs higher, adding warmth to the scene. Every texture, from the rough clay pots to the silk robes of the king, from the dusty village paths to the polished palace floor, is rendered with ultra-realistic Pixar-style 3D quality. This is not just a royal ceremony. It is the beginning of a life-changing lesson. The stillness of the moment holds great weight as the story prepares to unfold into one of truth, struggle, and transformation. Rendered in cinematic Pixar-style 3D with a soft fantasy glow, ultra-realistic textures, vivid expressions, warm golden lighting, dynamic crowd composition, and cultural authenticity. Visualize a quiet, humble Indian village at dusk. The sky outside is painted in deep purples and orange hues, with fading sunlight casting long shadows over thatched rooftops and dusty narrow paths. Inside one of the smallest mud houses in the village, a young boy named Arjun sits cross-legged on the floor. The room is dimly lit by a single flickering oil lamp hanging from the wall, its golden glow illuminating his round, innocent face and soft brown eyes filled with quiet worry. Arjun is no more than 10 years old, wearing a faded white cotton kurta, a bit oversized and slightly frayed at the sleeves. His small hands are dusty from gardening, and his bare feet are curled beneath him on the cool mud floor. In front of him sits a simple clay pot filled with dark, moist soil. His eyebrows are furrowed as he carefully pours a little water over the center of the pot with a handmade brass cup, his movements slow, delicate, and filled with hope. The pot remains unchanged. Day after day, Arjun has watered and cared for the soil, but no sprout has emerged. Still, his expression is not defeated. Instead, it is layered with determination, sadness, and honesty. A subtle tear lingers in the corner of his eye, not from failure, but from not understanding why his effort hasn't worked. Behind Arjun, his mother watches silently from a distance. She stands near a small traditional stove made of clay, where the last coals of evening cooking glow red. Her eyes are gentle and full of compassion. She wears a plain blue sari with a simple border, and her hair is tied in a neat braid. Her hands are worn from work, but they rest quietly as she observes her son's quiet struggle, knowing this moment is more than about a plant. It is about his character. The house is modest, walls made of sun-dried bricks smeared with cow dung for insulation, a thatched roof supported by bamboo poles, and a few handmade shelves holding metal dishes, old clay cups, and bundles of dried herbs. A woven cot sits in the corner with a neatly folded cotton blanket. A small open window lets in the evening breeze, carrying the sounds of crickets chirping, distant temple bells, and the rustling of neem leaves. Outside, the night deepens. Stars slowly emerge in the sky, and in the distance, fireflies begin to flicker near the fields. The faint silhouette of a bullock cart moves along the road, and the distant laughter of village children fades as families begin to settle in for the night. Arjun leans forward again, gently touching the soil in the pot with his fingers, trying to feel for any sign of life. His expression is filled with silent questions. What am I doing wrong? Why does everyone else succeed? But deep in his heart, he refuses to cheat or replace the seed, even though he knows others might. This moment is filled with unspoken strength. Arjun, despite being poor, despite feeling like a failure, holds on to his integrity. He chooses to honor the task honestly, nurturing the lifeless seed with love and care, not for reward, but because it's the right thing to do. The atmosphere in the room is still, sacred almost. Dust particles float through the air, caught in the warm glow of the lantern. Every object, the cracked walls, the drying utensils, the rough fabric, and the simple earth floor, adds to the authenticity of the setting. The scene is composed to reflect the quiet power of a child's honesty in a world that might reward deception. Pixar-style 3D render, ultra-realistic human expressions, soft, warm lighting, emphasis on emotion and environment, natural textures, ambient detail, storytelling through space, gesture, and lighting. A mood of gentle resilience, peaceful sadness, and honest effort in the face of silence. Prompt 3. The Day of Judgment. 1,500-word Pixar-style scene prompt. It's a bright morning in the royal palace courtyard. The scene is vibrant, filled with color, sound, and anticipation. A large crowd has gathered, villagers, children, guards, and nobles, all eager to witness the day when the king will choose the next leader of the kingdom. The air is crisp and filled with the scent of fresh flowers, incense, and morning dew. Birds chirp in the background, and flower petals occasionally drift down from garlands strung between the palace pillars. Children stand proudly in a long row before the king. Each one holds a beautifully grown plant, some with blooming flowers in vibrant reds, oranges, and yellows, others with lush greenery or flowering vines. The children's faces beam with pride, and their postures are confident, excited. They stand tall, showing off their creations, eager to impress the royal court. But at the far end of the row, half hidden behind the taller children, stands Arjun. He clutches an empty clay pot to his chest. His face is filled with anxiety and quiet sadness, yet he stands firm. He wears clean but simple clothes, a fresh white kurta and loose cotton pants. His hair is neatly combed, and his face is freshly washed, but there's no smile. His hands tremble slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of being different. Honest in a world where deception has become easy. The king walks slowly down the line of children. His rich robes of crimson and gold trail slightly behind him, his hands folded behind his back. He examines each pot with great interest, nodding and smiling at the flowers and plants he sees. His face remains composed, but his eyes reveal a quiet search, not for beauty, but for truth. As he nears Arjun, the crowd grows silent. Even the birds seem to pause. The king stops in front of Arjun, and the boy lowers his gaze, holding the empty pot forward. The moment is intense. The king looks at the pot, then slowly raises his eyes to meet Arjun's. Time seems to pause. Arjun doesn't speak. He doesn't explain or cry. He simply offers what he has, an empty pot and an honest heart. The king smiles gently, and a flicker of understanding crosses his aged face. He turns to the crowd and raises his hand. In a calm yet powerful voice, he announces that Arjun will be the future king. The entire courtyard gasps in disbelief. Murmurs ripple through the crowd, and the other children look stunned, some with guilt, others with confusion. The king explains, "The seeds I gave were boiled. None could have grown. The plants you see were not grown from my seed, except this pot. Arjun was the only one honest enough to return with what he received." The moment turns magical. Arjun's eyes widen with disbelief, tears welling as he looks up at the king. The crowd slowly begins to applaud. Some villagers wipe their eyes. Arjun's mother, standing near the back, folds her hands to her chest and bows her head in gratitude. The scene becomes one of transformation, from shame to pride, from silence to applause, from judgment to honor. Sunlight breaks through the palace arches, casting a golden glow on Arjun and the king. Flower petals fall gently from the balconies above as the music of temple bells begins to play softly in the background. Every element, the stone carvings of the palace, the richly woven tapestries on the walls, the clay pots, the velvet turbans of the guards, the royal banners fluttering in the wind, adds texture and realism. The emotions on every face are deeply human and captured in Pixar-quality 3D: joy, shock, awe, humility, and reverence. Cinematic Pixar-style render with ultra-realistic human gestures, layered expressions, warm sunrise lighting, dynamic composition, detailed architecture, cultural authenticity, and a powerful emotional crescendo centered on truth and moral courage. It is a glorious afternoon in the royal courtyard, transformed into a stage of celebration. The once solemn space now bursts with color, music, and emotion. Golden sunlight streams through silk banners draped from marble pillars, casting warm shadows over the tiled floor. Strings of marigold and jasmine flowers decorate every corner, their vibrant orange and white petals catching the wind as they sway above the heads of the gathered crowd. Villagers stand shoulder to shoulder, their faces glowing with awe and admiration. Children sit atop their parents' shoulders, trying to glimpse the center of the event. Drummers, flute players, and singers line the edges, playing soft ceremonial music that grows slowly in rhythm. Laughter, cheers, and temple bells mix in the air, creating a soundscape of joy and reverence. At the heart of the courtyard stands Arjun, the once poor village boy who brought nothing but an empty pot to the king. Today, he is dressed in resplendent royal garments, a deep sapphire blue sherwani embroidered with fine golden thread, a silk stole draped across his shoulders, and a pearl turban resting gently on his head. But despite the transformation in clothing, Arjun's posture remains humble. His hands are folded respectfully, and his eyes shine with tears, not of sadness, but of disbelief and deep gratitude. The old king stands beside him, smiling warmly, his weathered face filled with pride. His royal robes are slightly faded now, a symbol of his final act as ruler, passing the crown not through bloodline or tradition, but through truth. In his hands, he holds a simple golden necklace with a single pendant, the royal emblem shaped like a blooming tree, representing growth through honesty. As the music softens, the king gently places the necklace over Arjun's neck. The crowd bursts into applause. Flower petals rain down from above, released by royal attendants standing on balconies. Birds take flight, and sunlight pierces through the drifting petals, making them look like glowing embers floating in the sky. Arjun's eyes well up as he looks at the king, then at the people gathered before him. His mother stands in the front row, her eyes filled with tears of pride. She clasps her hands together, whispering a silent prayer. She's wearing her best sari, though it's old and faded. Her face, glowing with emotion, shows the journey of a mother who watched her child struggle in silence and rise through sheer integrity. All around them, the palace details shimmer in the light. Marble pillars with intricate carvings of lotuses and elephants, stained glass windows casting colored patterns on the courtyard floor, and giant ceremonial flags bearing the royal crest fluttering gently in the wind. The guards, once stoic, now smile and bow in reverence. Ministers and nobles nod in approval. Even the children who had once brought flowers now clap with genuine happiness, many of them moved by the king's final lesson. In this grand moment, the king steps forward and raises his hand to speak. The crowd quiets instantly. His voice is soft, yet it carries power. This boy Arjun brought me not the tallest tree, not the brightest flower, but the truth. And in doing so, he grew something greater than any seed. He grew integrity. Let this moment remind us all. Kingdoms are built not by wealth or weapons, but by values. Today, we plant a seed of honesty in our hearts that will bloom for generations. Cheers erupt across the courtyard. The drummers play faster, temple bells ring louder, and the scene explodes into celebration. Villagers throw flower petals in the air, dancers in colorful traditional attire swirl gracefully to the beat, and garlands are handed out freely to all. Amid the celebration, Arjun looks upward to the sky, eyes closed, taking in the sun, the sounds, the weight of the necklace, and the love around him. A single tear rolls down his cheek. He is no longer the boy who cried alone over a barren pot of soil. He is now the symbol of truth, a leader chosen not for strength or status, but for heart. The camera slowly pans out, if animated, showing the whole kingdom, the palace at the center, the village homes in the distance, the green fields beyond, all bathed in golden light. Peaceful music swells. The future lies ahead, not written in royal scrolls, but in the spirit of a child who chose honesty when no one else would. Pixar-style 3D cinematic rendering with ultra-emotional expressions, rich cultural elements, radiant lighting, fabric and floral texture detail, ambient realism, deep storytelling through light, gesture, atmosphere, and character design. Emphasis on symbolism, the necklace, the blooming tree crest, the empty pot remembered. A deeply emotional coronation scene evoking legacy, humility, and the triumph of truth.